This is Pastor Kevin Lindley with the Holy Spirit Chronicles. I'm the pastor of Winston Assembly of God in Winston, Oregon. And tonight it's Thursday. It is May 14th, and this is part 41. Going back into talking about the tribulations, but more importantly, the effect of the Holy Spirit as we start to roll into the tribulation. The effect of the Holy Spirit's righteousness in the saints of God has a profound effect throughout the world. Let me try to unpackage that thought. The influence of righteousness in the world does not come from the world. Righteousness comes from God, first and foremost. At the creation, Jesus saw all that he had made and proclaimed it was very good. In Genesis 1:31, the Holman Christian Standard Bible, it says, God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. Evening came, and then morning, the sixth day. So everything was classified as good. In Genesis 1:31 that I just read, the passage would be correctly interpreted, very good, as righteous. In the very beginning, before all creation was affected by the fall of man, the world was in a perfect state of righteousness, of goodness. It was, as God said, very good. But after the fall, creation itself is no longer in a state of righteousness, but rather corruption. Creation has mankind to thank for its current condition. Now, how does this relate to the Holy Spirit? The day will come when the church is taken home, and there will be the wedding supper of the Lamb, and then there comes the 7 years of tribulation. And the point is that the Holy Spirit will vacate with the believers when Christ calls them in the first resurrection. That's called the rapture. Now, does that mean that the Holy Spirit won't be on planet Earth during the 7 years of tribulation? Absolutely not. The Holy Spirit will be here. However, there's going to be a massive vacancy that's going to take place when the people are called home. We would see, but after the fall, creation itself was no longer in a state of righteousness, but rather corruption. I just read that. Creation has mankind to thank for this current condition. In Romans chapter 8, verse 19 through 21, in the NIV, for the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. The creation was subjected to man by God in the very beginning. God had given humanity rulership, dominion, and authority over all creation, basically all of planet Earth. All creation longs that humanity would be saved, restored, and operate in God's given authority. In Genesis 1:26 and 27, it's important to understand that this is when the authority was given to man. Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. They will rule over the fish of the sea, rule over the fish of the sea, and the birds of the air, and the livestock, and all the earth, and all the creatures that crawl on the earth. So God created man in his own image. He created him in the image of God. He created them male and female. Verse 28, and God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. The word subdue it is to have dominion. Rule the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and every creature that crawls on the earth. When mankind sinned in Genesis chapter 3, he was condemned to die. This newfound corruption was forced upon the earth as well as mankind. Creation was forced to accept the corruption over its perfect state. We humans received death, sickness, diseases, plagues, thorns, thistles, mosquitoes, venomous snakes, rats, pain, suffering, starvation, natural disaster, and the list goes on and on. The bottom line is that all creation was subjected to the frustration of bondage and decay. The die was cast. Mankind and all of creation would have to wait for the promised one, who would come to restore all mankind back to the Father. The creation would have to wait for the redemption of the sons of men to be restored back to the factory settings, so to speak. After Pentecost, 2,000 years ago, the Holy Spirit was given to all who received Christ and his work and accepted his work on the cross. The Spirit of God himself would inhabit every authentic believer when they believed. God had promised to take up residence with every believer and empower mankind with the ability to destroy the devil's works. In 1 John 3:8, the Son of Man came to destroy the works of the devil. And Jesus had made comment that all authority on heaven and earth has been given to me. Therefore, you go now in that authority. Jesus had now given us his authority to destroy the devil's works, just as he did when he walked the earth as a Son of Man. More on the Holy Spirit work during the end times, Friday, tomorrow. Have a great evening, and we'll see you then. God bless.